If you're a first-time whitetail hunter, removing a backstrap or any cut of meat might actually seem intimidating, but you'll quickly realize it's actually one of the easiest and most obvious cuts of meat to remove from your whitetail carcass. If you have a sharp knife with a long blade, it's going to be really simple. Today, we're using the Meat Crafter from Benchmade. This knife has a long curved blade on it. It's thin at the end, it's thick at the base, and it's very, very sharp. This is the perfect knife for doing this and deboning other cuts of wild game. As long as you know a couple quick, easy tips, you're gonna have no trouble removing your own backstraps and getting them ready for the freezer. This morning we went out and we killed this doe. It was a great hunt. We got the hide off the deer, and now we have the carcass hanging here. The meat has cooled, the meat is dry, and it's time to do some breaking down and deboning. So today I want to show you how to properly remove a backstrap from your deer harvest. And if you're a first-time whitetail hunter, one thing I want to point out is that we are in the perfect situation to do this. If you have the opportunity to hang your deer before butchering and breaking down the meat, I encourage you to do it. As you can see, the backstrap is between chin height and waist height. It's a really safe, easy to cut situation. I don't have to bend over. If you are in the field, maybe you're hunting public land or you kill one far from the road and you have to break it down on the ground, the cuts and everything I'm going to show you today are exactly the same. You're just going to be doing them on the ground as opposed to having a hanging carcass. So let's get right into it. The first thing I like to do when I'm removing a backstrap is make my initial cut. And my initial cut is always at the top of the backstrap between the hind quarter, right where those two meet. So if you can see right here, you can see where the hind quarter starts by where the legs kind of go up. I'll start on the spine side, take the point of my knife, put it right in next to the spine, and just cut right across there. And as you're doing that, you can feel the vertebrae in there, your knife blade's hitting them. And you just go right to the edge of the carcass like that and get a nice clean cut from the spine to the edge of the carcass. With your initial cut made, simply the next thing you're gonna do is make a long cut all the way down along the spine to the front end of the backstrap. I do the same thing. I put the front end of my knife in there, and I like to stay tight to the bone so that you're not wasting any meat. And you just run that knife down along the spine. If you want to be a little particular and try to save as much meat as possible, as you should, maybe tilt that knife blade inward just a little bit. That way you're cutting into the spine or close to the spine as opposed to cutting into your backstrap. We're just gonna run that knife blade right down here to the front of this backstrap and right here to where the backstrap meets the front shoulders. And I've already pre-cut a line there so that you guys can see it, but this is a very natural stopping point. The backstrap ends here, the shoulder meat connects to the scapula right here. So I'll go ahead and just kind of square that off so you can see it. But simply, we've made a cut at the top, we've made a cut along the side, along the spine, and we need to make our third and final cut, which is right here along the outside of the backstrap, and that's gonna leave us to fillet it and remove the backstrap from the carcass. I like to go in right here on my first cut. This is actually how I start my third cut. It's completely personal preference. You can go in here and run right down along the vertebrae and get the cut made and then come and fillet it out. I kind of like to do it all at once. It's completely personal preference. As long as you're not wasting meat, you're not doing it the wrong way. So I bring my knife in here, and I just start kind of like I did on the spine. I put the knife in until I feel the vertebrae right here, and I press my knife tight against those vertebrae so I'm not wasting meat, and I just start cutting down along the backstrap. And you'll feel the point of your knife hitting the vertebrae on this side, and you'll feel the side of your knife kind of catching the vertebrae down along here as you make your cut. And you just very naturally follow that vertebrae line all the way down. And once you've got those cuts made, you come in here, you grab the top of your backstrap, and you can see it's still attached right here, so you start filleting the backstrap out. Just cutting any flesh that you missed with your first three initial cuts and working it right out. For this part, it's just kind of like cutting the rib cages out of a fish. If you've ever filleted fish, you use the tip of your knife, probably an inch or so here, and you just make short, precise cuts along the vertebrae to fillet that meat right out of there. And as you can see here, this is coming out perfect. Right here, you've got vertebrae, you've got spine. I'm making short, simple cuts to fillet that right out of that spine area. And obviously the deer, if you have the deer hanging, it's gonna move on you a little bit, so just be careful. You don't wanna cut yourself. Take your time so that you don't waste meat by cutting into the backstrap, or worse, cut yourself. It's better to go slow and be precise than do it fast and messing up and hurting yourself. And when you get down to here, you can see this backstrap starting to hang. This downward pressure makes it easier. It holds itself and you can just simply start filleting it out. It's also good to keep a hand on it. That way you have control of the carcass. That downward pressure makes it easier to cut. It's a very simple, easy thing to do, but like I said, you want to stay close to those vertebrae. That way you preserve as much meat as possible. And then once you're down here, you'll kind of feel the backstrap start to pull itself off the carcass. And one thing I like to do, you don't have to do this when you're removing the backstrap. You can do this later when you prep it for the freezer, or if you're eating it very fresh, prepping it for the frying pan. One thing I do though right here, because I do believe it's easier, is I remove this outer layer of silver skin from the meat. So once I get here to the top of the shoulder, when we're at the end of the backstrap, which is easy to find or easy to see when you're there, because the backstrap's here and you can just see this white piece. That's bone. That's the backside of the deer's scapula. Once you're to the scapula, you're at the end of the backstrap. So it's good to remove it, and then you can remove this skin. All I do here, you can see this is already kind of loose. You don't want to eat this. You just start pulling it like this, and it just very naturally pulls off of there. That actually wasn't a great job on my part pulling it all. Obviously, I left some here. If this does happen to you, don't worry. You simply come back later and trim this off with your knife. But if you do it perfect, you'll have a long, thin piece of silver skin hanging here on the carcass. Your meat will be deep red, just like this here, and you have an almost ready to eat or freeze piece of backstrap. So we're at the end of it. It's time to cut it out. You simply take your knife, sever the backstrap from the carcass, and you have a very tender, delicious piece of whitetail venison right there. So that's backstrap removal 101. Take care of this meat. It is some of the most tender and delicious on the entire deer. You can fry it, you can grill it, eat it fresh, or freeze it. No matter what, you're gonna be really happy with how this turned out. As you can see, removing your own backstraps from your whitetail harvest is extremely easy. One thing I want to leave you with, if you would happen to make a mistake and your knife slips or you come up off the spine and you make a weird cut through it and it doesn't seem like that backstrap looks like it should, like the one I removed from my whitetail carcass, don't fret. You can always grind that meat up, put it into burger or sausage. I don't prefer to do that, but it's better than wasting the meat. So as with anything with butchering, stay calm, keep the environment low stress, and do your best. You really cannot do this the wrong way.